Hey guys, this is going to be a review of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 12, There is a Tide, which is the second to last episode of the season, so there's a lot going on. Osira and her crew have taken over Discovery and they're trying to get into Federation headquarters, and Admiral Vance does let them in, which on the one hand, it's interesting because I was so distrustful of him at first, but then even when Discovery's not communicating, he's willing to let them in. But at the same time, it's very frustrating to watch him do that when you know Osira has control of the ship. Osira and the Emerald Chain also end up putting their own control system into Discovery, and one of Osira's people mentions that they can't remove something, and it's like ancient Earth entertainment, which seems to be the sphere data, but I'm very curious as to whether they deleted the sphere data, other than the ancient Earth entertainment, if they deleted the rest of the sphere data in Discovery. We know later in the episode that the sphere data is in the little bots or whatever they're called, so it's not gone, but I'm wondering if it put itself onto those before Osira could find it, or if they deleted it but it saved itself in the bots, or what happened there. Aurelio, the scientist, Osira's scientist guy, is a very interesting character because you can tell Osira has kind of been keeping from him what she usually does, and that's why he's so loyal to her. He doesn't believe she's bad, but it's just very interesting to have that depiction of Osira as being kind to him and helping him as a child, even though from context it seems pretty obvious that she did it only to serve her own ends because he would help her. But it's just interesting to get that perspective of someone viewing Osira that way, and I felt kind of bad for him that was completely shattered for him. Michael gets stabbed in the leg by one of Osira's regulators pretty early in the episode, and then she goes through this entire episode with an injured leg while fighting off Osira's regulators and visibly in pain, and I'm very impressed, but also it was almost painful to watch. I do think it kind of makes everything Michael does in this episode even more impressive because she's doing it while she can hardly walk. Osira tries to negotiate with Admiral Vance about creating an alliance between the Federation and the Emerald Chain, and I got a little worried for a bit that he was going to accept that because I don't see how that could turn out well, but luckily he doesn't, because he says the only way they'll consider it is if Osira gets tried for her crimes, and she refuses, unsurprisingly, so that was a relief. Vance also admits to Osira that he's never eaten a real apple before. All of his food has been made from their waste, and that's just such a weird realization. It's also kind of weird because apples are an Earth thing, and the fact that Osira has eaten one, and the Emerald Chain isn't even in control of Earth and everything, is interesting. Stamets trying to resist Michael sending him to Starfleet because he wants to go back to the Nebula and save Culber and Adira was absolutely heartbreaking, probably the hardest scene in this episode to watch. Also, Vance has a quote in this episode that I wrote down, which the past is the only light with which we can see the future, which is basically a spin on those who don't learn from the future are doomed to repeat it, but I just really liked that quote enough that I wrote it down. But I think that's everything that I have to say for this episode, so I will see you guys later. Bye.